Who goes there? Under the surface of this question is something unnerving for what it implies. First, that you know that you're not alone, and second, that you're in a vulnerable position to this foreign entity. That feeling is paranoia, the key element in what feeds the thing. Back in 1982, John Carpenter had already cemented his place in horror movie history, with the original Halloween making way for the slasher genre. With Assault on Precinct 13, Halloween, and Escape from New York on his resume, Carpenter was only coming up hot, only for the thing to come up cold. At the time of release, the film was critically panned. In a way, some of the critics weren't wrong. The movie is so intense that it could shock the senses on a primal level so much that the psychological horrors buried underneath became hidden. The Thing, adapted from the novella Who Goes There, asked the chilling question.
If I was an imitation, a perfect imitation, how would you know if it was really me?
This story begins 100,000 years ago, but as far as we know, it could have been much longer than that. Fast forward to the present day, and a group of Norwegian scientists discover what lies below, an ancient evil on Earth. The Thing is one of the most dangerous film creatures to be conceived, a creature on the molecular level, an infectious virus that imitates every single cell in our bodies. Wanting to replicate the fear and anxiety of the AIDS pandemic, Carpenter loved the idea of anyone carrying this virus, and you could have no way of knowing. The person next to you, your friends or loved ones, could have it, and without a test, you would be in the dark and vulnerable to it. It would be possible this person might even have it and not know it, or even be deceiving you. The only way to know is by a test that is not readily accessible. The unease of disease have never been more relevant than the past 2 years. While obviously not intentionally creating parallels to the COVID-19 pandemic, since, the film was made in the 80s, that doesn't mean we as viewers can't draw the connections. It's safe to say that Thing was a creature that was better left undisturbed. The most horrifying aspects of this creature are the ones you have to come to conclusions to for yourself. We know that it could imitate us on a cellular level. It could also imitate us on a personal level. Our mannerisms, our memories, our actions are all up for grabs. At the beginning of the film, we see an alien spacecraft crashing down into Earth. An entire different life form in society could have been devastated by this creature. Could have been alive for 1,000,000 years in 1,000,000 different galaxies. Theoretically speaking, there could be other things on different planets, assimilating other life forms as you watch this video. A fear of germs and bacteria would never be so rational in this film.
But McCready, I've been thinking, if a small particle of this thing is enough to take over an entire organism, then everyone should prepare their own meals, and I suggest we only eat out of cans.
This nihilistically conceptual creature denies any idea of a soul or anything of the like, because if it can imitate us without anyone noticing it, then what's truly inside? We're flesh and blood, just right to be absorbed by this thing. An abandoned outpost in Antarctica is a relatively contained place for this thing, but the apocalyptic threat to the human race is undeniable. The film also does a great job of implying the torture that it must be to be assimilated. It's not a fast process by any means, as the creature wraps its tentacles, enters the orifice of the creature it's absorbing. The dogs are even sprayed by this mysterious liquid and are covered in an unrecognizable muck. On a conceptual level, that's terrifying, but The Thing is one of the few films that shows the cunningness in a monster. Horror movies typically explore the intelligence, adaptability, and resourcefulness of its protagonist. Typically, when you get an unstoppable beast, it's a slow-moving monster that people bumble around trying to defeat. The Thing, unfortunately for the men at Outpost 31, is a master of deceit and paranoia. It plays mind games, and the men are visibly and audibly disturbed.
When do you think it got to him?
I don't know. Could have been any time, anywhere, if it did get to him.
Hey, look, Childs, come on.
The Thing's ultimate goal is to absorb all that it can, but from its actions, it feels like it's happy to torment its prey. This sets up the intellectual battle between the fantastically portrayed and written antagonist, R.J. McCready. McCready, in a desolate place, chooses isolation from his fellow outpostmen. More content with a drink and an automated chess game, he set out to be a thinker. When things start going awry, he's immediately put into alert mode. Throughout his expeditions, he takes mental notes of everything, and through his actions, you can see that the execution and understanding he has for the situation.
Loaded with kerosene. I count 15 cans.
Is that a man in there or something?
Whatever it is, they burn it up in a hurry.
Weird and pissed off, whatever it is.
Bennings, go get Childs. Childs! Mac wants the flamethrower.
Mac wants the what?
That's what he said. Now move!
He's a natural born leader, even if he only steps up out of necessity, not because he wants the position. Despite this, he's shown to be a compassionate man, often emotionally comforts the other men. He's also not the one to sit around for things to get bad to worse. He's not one to take any nonsense once things start getting serious.
Who says I want you going with me? All right, cut the bullshit!
Regardless of your opinion of the movie, Rob Bottin's practical effects on The Thing are some of the greatest works you'll ever see in any science fiction movie. The film is not for the squeamish. The mangled messes and deformed heaps of flesh are disturbing, to put it lightly. The real meat of The Thing isn't the blood and guts, but it's what sells the tension of the other scenes. The best scenes aren't the violent ones, it's the ones of the paranoia and distrust amongst the other men. When you see the visceral and gut-wrenching mutilations that the creature is capable of, the yelling and arguing between the groups feel real. Not only that, the characters are very grounded in reality. You're played out to be like normal human beings and don't do anything so stupid that it breaks your immersion. Every performance ends up being great because of this. The recognizable names like Kurt Russell, Keith David, and Wilford Brimley all played an excellent part, but my favorite performance actually comes from Donald Moffat as Gary the station commander. I won't go into too much detail, but definitely pay attention to Moffat when you get around to watching it. Originally the film was given flack for this, but I think now people wouldn't have it any other way. An ice cold, bleak, and desolate land is the perfect stage for this apocalyptic battle between man and abomination. A film so intense and horrifying that it was actually hated upon release. Decades later, and you can still find people talking about it, regarding it as one of the greatest horror films ever made. All that remains is you. Are you prepared to take on The Thing? It's depressing and morbid, but the power and tension of this film is unmatched, intensely primal, and unrelentingly thought-provoking. Even if it took some time to thaw out and be discovered, The Thing would eventually be ready to take the world by storm. The Thing is about to celebrate its 40th anniversary. I'll hope you join me in watching this masterpiece, even if it's your first time. If you've successfully assimilated this entire video, I thank you for watching. I would appreciate it if you consider subscribing and sharing this video. With that, I'll see you next mission.